We thank you for tuning in this Monday morning, September 25th, 2023. I'm John Paul Flame, joined by Eric Bickle.
Morning.
Morning. Johnny Cake Sawville's here.
Hello, all, at Money Metal Cakes on your Twitter.
Jason Bishop as well.
Yes, sir. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday for some.
Not for all.
Those in D.C., it is a Misery Monday presented by Chiniga Mayos. Join the mission at careers with MIOS.com. We'll be talking about the Commanders' blowout loss throughout the show, every angle. We've got our Howl eval at 6:45. John Keim joins us at 7. Chris Russell, the Rooster, at 8:20. And we'll talk to Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen at 9 o'clock.
I don't like talking to J.A. after a loss like that.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
That's not going to be fun.
He's not going to be in the most chipper of moods.
I don't think so.
The one thing I'll say about him in losses, he always takes accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really like to shift blame.
He's very honest, yeah.
You know, most people are going to focus on Sam Howell, and we'll be talking about it throughout, and the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sprinkle in some Antonio Gibson with his fumble. There were 5 turnovers in the game, 4 picks, the fumble from Gibson. But let's be real. The Bills had over 200 yards of offense in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they only had 16 points at the start of the fourth quarter, but the defense gave up almost 400 yards, and they had 0 sacks.
Right.
And Josh Allen and the Bills, Josh Allen is special. They converted 9 out of 15 third downs. So I think he's going to be bitter about the defensive performance.
There's a lot of blame to go around on the offense and the defense. But, I mean, when your offense goes 1 for 9 on third downs and your defense is out there
Right back
a lot
out there.
against one of the best teams in the league, you're going to tend to give up points. You're going to crater at some point, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real deal. I mean, this is a team that's thought to be a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
Right? And Washington gets the first 2 wins, and, you know, you'll take any win you get. But now you look back and go, all right, well, how good of a win was Denver? They just gave up 70.
70.
And could have given up more if
So
McDaniel
this
hadn't
was just
throttled off.
this was just men versus boys yesterday. That's what it was. It was just a domination on every level.
Howell sacked 9 times.
Leads the league.
I went back and watched it. Half, if not more, in my opinion, we can ask John Keim. We're on Howell.
Maybe.
His indecisiveness, sometimes he drops back, he looks, and then he tries to run, and he runs into a sack. Other times it seems like he's just not pulling the trigger, gets sacked. And then sometimes the offensive line just stinks.
Yeah.
It's a deadly combination.
Well, it wasn't just the offensive line, though. It was running backs missing blocks, tight ends missing blocks. It was a total team effort, I think. You can hang the loss on Howell for being the most egregious, and I wouldn't argue with you. But it's just one of those games that just snowballs, gets away from you. They're pinning their ears back, and he just never really had a shot. It's a shame.
The disconcerting thing about the 9 sacks is heading into that game, in 2 games, the Bills had 3 sacks.
Right.
Yeah.
This wasn't the 85 Bears defense. I'm not saying the Bills defense isn't good, but they weren't going up against TJ Watt, who had 2 more sacks last night. They weren't going up against Myles Garrett. They weren't going against the elite pass rushers in the game. They were going up against a team that had 3 sacks in 2 games.
Yeah, but they were they were blitzing like crazy. I think you saw the number. Next Gen Stats said that he was pressured the most, second most of any quarterback in the history of their stats.
Since it started taking track of it. Yeah.
And so, I mean, they were just pinning their ears back and going after him, and he was kind of panicking and, you know, making mistakes. He made every mistake in the book.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the key will be how do they respond.
I would have pulled him out at 30-0. Seriously, because you saw that last sack
I
he
considered
took.
that too.
That last sack, he struggled to get off the ground. You could tell he was kind of limping on the
Consider
sideline.
that too. You just don't want to rock the kid's confidence, and it's the reps you can learn.
Yeah.
It is a balance.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, Jacoby Brissett better be ready because Howell's on track to be sacked over 100 times at this pace.
Right.
And nobody,
On the
know
big hit he took when he ran.
I know
that
he's
was a
tough,
big hit.
and I know that he can handle it. He's a grown up, but I mean, you just can't absorb that sort of punishment every single week and keep going out there. At some point, your body is going to betray you if things don't improve.
Maybe
Well,
we're going to be talking.
It's 19 times.
Well,
It's
it's a
19
lot.
times in 3 games, and I don't see it getting much better. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to get sacked 9 times a game, but he's going to get hit a lot.
Oh, the Eagles' defensive
And the
line is
Eagles
better
are
than the
coming.
Bills' defensive line.
This will be a great challenge. I can't wait to see it.
But maybe Bieniemy's got to change his approach. I want to give the guys from Ref the District some shine. They went through the dropbacks to rushes of the first 3 weeks in the first half. So when you were talking about pin your ears back, that cliche, well, maybe this is why, because they know that Sam Howell is going to be dropping back a lot early versus running the football, that there's not going to be even a resemblance of balance. Game 1, first half stats, 33 dropbacks to 9 rushes. I remember talking about it. We're like, okay, he's aggressive, passing the ball.
First
It's basically
half.
4-1.
Yeah.
Second game, first half, 36
30
dropbacks, 7 rushes. So
Right.
once again, like 4 or 5-1. And then yesterday, 16 dropbacks, 5 rushes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want to sling
And
it.
Robinson was running the ball successfully when they
Yeah.
gave him the ball.
Maybe I'm in a minority there. I mean, we were down. You got to keep passing. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it that much. I mean, Robinson was
But in the
running
first
fine.
half, they weren't down that much.
No, maybe they were just always kind of down. I don't know. I always had a little bit partial to passing.
Well, yeah, I think all of us are. Yeah. But when it's 5-1, 4-1,
Well, remember,
Maybe it's
that
a little
first
excessive.
that first drive was a great drive, and then they just smashed into the wall and turned it into a horrific drive with the 2 sacks and then the pick or whatever the hell it was. I mean, they were moving the ball, everything was looking great, and then it just fell apart, and then they're just chasing the rest of the game.
yeah, I mean, that first drive, they were moving the ball nice. Some nice runs from Robinson. He had some nice throws. But then, like you said, he was sacked back-to-back, and then he threw his first interception.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2 of the interceptions were to linebackers who made great plays.
Yeah.
But he's just got to know it's
And the
not
se-
so easy to
and in
throw
the
over
second
these
half,
guys.
The second half, he just couldn't do anything. I mean, every time he dropped back, he was assaulted.
Yeah.
It seemed like, especially in the fourth quarter.
But again, we knew that there were going to be games like this for
Yeah,
Sam
yeah,
Howell.
yeah.
We talked about this all offseason, that the chart for Sam Howell, no matter how promising he looked, was not going to be a line going straight up.
That's
There
true.
were going to be bumps in the road, adversity. This is the first big one.
It's a big one. But the way I think about it to myself is, well, it sucks because I knew there would be adversity, but I didn't think we would just get destroyed,
This
in the
quickly?
third week. Yeah. I actually thought I picked Buffalo to win, but I thought we could be competitive and maybe we could steal one, and we just never was competitive. That sucked.
Mhm.
But I didn't get emotionally involved. I just sat there. I didn't clap
You
once.
just took it.
Just sat there and just took it. And
just
ate.
numb.
Yeah, just like, wow, everything's going to go wrong today.
It was, though, and everything goes wrong because you would think, all right, strength of the team, Hal's going to have his ups and downs. He's going to struggle like most young quarterbacks struggle. This was awful. But you kind of rely on the defense. They gave up 168 yards rushing.
Well, a lot
Like I
of it
mentioned,
is
they
to
have
the
no
running.
sacks.
A lot of it is to the quarterback. I don't know why we didn't spy him. I don't know anything about football, but I was watching like Davis in particular, and it didn't seem to me on some of those runs that Davis was spying him. It just seemed like Davis had other responsibilities.
Spy report.
No, they were in
And
coverage.
Josh was just taking advantage of it.
Well,
I thought we would have a spy on him the whole game.
They are a better running team because obviously Josh Allen, I mean, when he gets out there, he can go. But James Cook has kind of added a different element to their
Yeah, he
team.
averaged 6.5 a pop.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
got a nice burst.
He can scoot. He can move. So and we talked about that on Friday. We said, look,
They
James,
couldn't shut down Diggs either. Like pretty
well,
much
Diggs gets the ball
the
whenever he
Bills
wants it.
did
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to do offensively
Yeah, I mean-
throughout the game.
they
Their
toyed
third
with
down
this team.
conversions was the killer. That was the backbreaker because heading into the game, I believe the Commanders were 8th in the NFL defensively in third down percentage.
Yeah.
And right in the first drive, you saw on a third down play, Josh Allen get out of the pocket, made a lot of plays out of the pocket, and connect with the receiver. He had another one where he got out of the pocket, makes a great throw to Stephon Diggs for a big play downfield. They couldn't get the Bills off the field.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a Bills team that
The Bills punted one time.
they stumbled
One
in
punt.
week
One time,
one
right.
against the Jets, but in the last 2 weeks, they have destroyed both the Raiders and the Commanders, like 2 lopsided affairs.
75 points or something like that.
So, like, they started off slow in that Jets game, but they've looked really impressive the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like, they found something over the last 2 weeks after that.
I mean, if
first
that's
loss.
the Bills team you're going to see most of the year, they're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean,
defensively,
they're Super Bowl
they're small and they're quick.
Yeah.
You know, they're not huge up front, but their edge guys are just quick and they can get to you.
But it is disappointing. Well, first of all, it's obviously disappointing that House struggled so much. But it is disappointing that we couldn't get to him even once. I mean, that's supposed to be the strength of our team. We know, as Cakes mentions, that our quarterback will struggle at times. I was hoping he wouldn't have a 4-interception game this year. But you would always hope that at least your anchor would be your defense. You'd get a couple sacks from those guys up front. They'd make some plays, create some turnovers, and it was kind of disappointing that didn't happen.
Maybe you can hang your hat on that against a team that's just not as good as the Bills, like a team that's closer to you in talent level, because there's a gulf in talent level, obviously, between the Bills and the Commanders.
Correct.
It was on full display yesterday.
Yeah. Top to
it's
bottom,
Like, you
you're
just
right.
could look, you looked at the game for 5 minutes. You're like, well, one team's better than the other team.
Well, the thing
It's
that's
not
a
even
shame
close.
is the Eagles it's going to be even a tougher task.
I would,
Yeah.
if you're a Commanders fan, I would expect maybe not a replay of yesterday, but something similar.
Oh,
to what
I
happened
would-
yesterday.
would
I
expect-
want to be a competitive loss. I believe in moral
I don't
victories.
know.
I know you do.
I want a
I mean,
competitive loss.
You're hoping that happens, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders went on the road against Philly and came home 35-10 losers. Like,
No, I
that
wouldn't
wouldn't
be.
shock me one bit.
No, but
No, but
this
I'm
is what you
kinda
know.
expecting it now.
This is
I'll
what
be
you know.
upset.
Unless the offensive line somehow wakes up and they're much better than they are,
Right.
they actually are, certainly in this Buffalo game, they're going to get beat
Well, they
a
have
lot
to. They
against
can't
the
just do
Eagles.
the outside. They have to scheme much better. And as happy as I was with Bieniemy last week, this couch potato that doesn't know anything about football was not happy with Bieniemy as much this week.
Right.
I thought we weren't creative nearly enough to help Howell. We're clearly struggling. They're pinning their ears back. I want to see him move the pocket way more. I saw him adjust to it a couple times. I don't understand why they don't do it more. You need more guys in there chipping. They got to do their jobs better. I mean, I was listening to a couple podcasts afterwards. Everybody was talking about how awful the running backs were in pass protection yesterday because they're not good enough against a team like the Eagles up front. They're just flat out not good enough.
The game certainly got away from them. This is a question, though, that I posed on Twitter, and we can open up the phone lines at 800-636-1067 if you want to call us in the MGM National Harbor listener lines. Now, they said it was going to be a measuring stick game. They said that about the game against the Bills a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they failed, but we all picked the Bills.
Yeah.
We all expected them before the season and the off season this week for them to
And
lose to
next
the
week.
Bills.
I picked the Eagles next
Should
week.
we toss out the loss? A loss is a loss, right? At the end of the day and the end of the season, it's just going to be a tick in the L column or a tick in the W column. It's not going to tell you the margin of victory. Or does the beatdown mean something more?
Well, anytime you get
Just
beat
means
like that,
they're better.
anytime you get beat like that, I think it means something. I think we all expected Buffalo to win, but we all predicted the scores, and we all expected a tougher game. Maybe we overreacted from the first 2 weeks, and maybe we overreacted from the Denver game. But this is what you hope. You hope that Sam Howell, first of all, that you got to keep him upright. I mean, he's just taking too many hits.
Priority one.
If he doesn't, you're going to see Brissett sooner than later.
Yeah, I
But
would think.
you just got to hope he learns from some of the horrible decisions he made, because he made some really bad decisions. It was about decision-making as well as just poor performance.
All right, let's take a break, come back, open up the phone lines. Your chance to chime in on a Misery Monday presented by Chiniga Mayos. Join the mission at careers with MIOS.com. Measuring stick game. What's your take on the beatdown loss to the Bills? 800-636-1067. Same number for the Toms Creek Windows text machine. Standard message and data charges may apply. You can also tweet us at Junks Radio. We'll be right back. I will agree with you, EB. The game just snowballed and got away from them, because even in the second half, they start with the ball in the second half, right? And they're moving the ball with a balanced attack. Like, it's almost like every game in the first half, they are super pass heavy, 4-1, 5-1 pass to run. And then if you look at that first drive in the second half, they're moving the ball with runs. Howell makes a couple nice throws, and then it's just the backbreaker. That was the interception to Tre'Davious White.
Mm-hmm.
He had some pressure
The one in the end zone.
in his face in the end zone.
He just threw it late.
And
Threw it late, threw it to the inside, needed to throw it to the outside. And it's just bad.
And this is where I don't completely exonerate the defense. I saw a lot of people on social media giving the defense a pass, saying, well, what do you expect? There were 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions. And there's some truth in that. But in that particular case, it's 16-0 at the half, right? He throws the interception. They had moved the ball all the way down the field. He throws the interception. Tre'Davious White makes a great play. Well, they're on like the 1-yard line. And they march the ball right down the field on the rested Commanders defense. Because a lot of people I know would defend the defense saying, well, they're on the field all the time. Well, that's halftime. And they have the Bills on the 1-yard line, and the Bills end up moving the ball down the field, and ultimately I think they get a field goal there.
Even if that defense had their greatest performance ever, they're not beating the Bills yesterday. They're not beating that team yesterday with the way the offense played.
For sure.
That defense could have been better, sure, but even at an elevated state, they're not beating the team that was on the field across from them yesterday. It's just they were outclassed all the way around.
JP, the possession after the Tre'Davious White interception is when Fuller got the pick.
That's right.
Allen threw the pick after that.
But they still moved the ball. It was a change of field.
Yeah, they went down past the 50, but they did. They got the ball back.
Hey, luckily, everybody, the Commanders weren't embarrassed by being shut out. At least Ron trotted out Joey Sly.
Right.
What was that all about?
For a field
To be
goal.
honest with you,
That is embarrassing.
No, I think honestly, think about it. I think they were testing Cheeseman and Sly. I think it's like game reps. Our long snapper's been poop. We need to see these guys. I think that's what it was more than we just need 3.
Well, I think I saw it in another game yesterday. Who did that? There was another team. It might have been the Bears. I don't know. One of these teams that just got completely mauled yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there were some blowouts, had a meaningless field goal, and it's like, what are they doing?
I think that was the test
Maybe.
Cheeseman because he is on the thinnest of ice.
Yeah.
And it was a great chance that can you kick this? I mean, there wasn't pressure, but the kind of pressure because your job's on the line. So to see how he responds.
Yeah, I think it was the Bears kicked a field goal when they were down 41-0. They ended up scoring a touchdown later.
Yeah, late touchdown.
I'm just not
DJ
going to make huge generalizations. I agree with Cakes. I mean, the Bills are a better team than the Commanders. Everyone knew that going in. But we'll see. And next week they have a mountainous task. I expect them to lose next week. My hope is that they play a very, very competitive game, though. And if they don't, if they get blown out 2 weeks in a row, then come talk to me, and I'm going to be pretty down. Even though I know both teams are better, this is one of those games where I just can't wait to see how they respond to it.
Right.
Because I can't imagine playing back-to-back games like that. I can't imagine.
I don't think you'd expect 5 turnovers. The thing that I wonder about is after seeing Sam Howell on film for 3 games, and let's just work with this season. I gave him a C+ in game 1, gave him an A- in game 2.
Right.
We'll get to our Howell eval and make it official in the next segment. But the thing that I wonder about is, have defensive coordinators figured out a formula against Eric Bieniemy's offense with Sam Howell under center and that bad offensive line?
Yes.
It is.
I'm sure good ones do, yeah.
The answer is yes. They have to respond.
Right. It's called bring a lot of pressure and fluster a young quarterback.
The answer is yes. They talked about it. They said they noticed. One of their defensive guys said, we noticed that he handles a little long, and if we throw some extra stuff at him, that he might make some mistakes. He also did preface it by saying he thinks he'll be fine. He's just got to learn. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you just hope that he learns from those mistakes, and it might take a while to learn.
Yeah, you're not going to learn everything in 1 week.
Yeah. So
I want to see a more competitive team next week. If we go out and get smoked next week again, which they're very capable of doing it, their defense is suffocating, can be, and it only got better. So if they come in and get smoked next week, that's going to be bad news.
Well, this is what's alarming. This is what's alarming. 19 sacks in 3 weeks is alarming.
That jumps off the page.
Really
and I'd say
is.
half on Howell.
Sure.
It doesn't matter who
It's a
they're
combination.
on. They're just
the fact that it's happening,
and
that's
they
alarming.
They need to tidy that up.
I mean, they're ahead by 6 or 7 sacks over the next quarterback that's been sacked the most. 19 times in 3 weeks.
It's absurd.
That's a big
By
number.
the way, this is kind of when you circle. It's early, but you circle around and say, should we really have spent 2 of our top picks in the draft on defensive backs? Maybe an offensive lineman could have worked with one of those 2 picks.
Yeah, but they got Wiley and Gates.
These are questions that you need to ask.
This is the quote which EB is referring to from Jordan Phillips on Sam Howell. We gave him different looks. If he doesn't see something, most of the time he'll just hold the ball and he'll run.
Mhm.
It's just growing pains. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe. Like, I saw most people, I threw out a question on Twitter, have you lost any faith in Sam Howell? And I would say 80%, maybe 90% of the responses were no.
No. Right.
That's
And that
surprising.
may be
I'm glad.
fair.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's going to be good. But there are sometimes, people just say young quarterback. Well, now he didn't have as many good games as Sam Howell had, but Dwayne Haskins never got better.
Mm-mm.
Well, here's the thing. It
There's
comes
young
down-
quarterbacks who don't get better. That have
Justin
flaws.
Fields isn't getting better, and he's
right.
like 3 years.
And the rap on Sam Howell from college was high sack rate,
Yeah.
holds on to the ball.
Well, it's a deadly combo with this line and everything else. I'll say this. Great players have bad games. Good players have bad games. Bad players have bad games. So we'll have to see which of the 3 is he. I think he's a good player who had a bad game. But maybe he's a bad player that had a bad game. I don't think he is, but maybe he is.
It's
So
too
that's-
early to tell.
That's JP's point. JP is leaning towards bad player had a bad game. I think he's a good player that had a bad game, but we'll see.
I might lean towards okay player, bad game. Like
We'll see. We'll see. I think he's going to be
He
a good
just needs
player.
a lot more help.
He needs a
certainly
lot more
does.
help, for
He's
sure.
not someone just going to take over and bounce back by himself. He needs a lot more
I
help.
will say that he is a resilient guy, though, so I do expect him to play better. He almost is too passive sometimes. Like the guy makes these catastrophic mistakes and it looks like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you got to. I do think he has a short memory, so we'll see.
I think that's a
he'll
good
play
quality
better.
for a young quarterback. You don't get too flustered. I mean, look, his day yesterday was abysmal. It was awful.
Yeah, but
and
every
hopefully
once in a while, I
just
wouldn't mind him kicking a
Compartmentalize it,
kicking
get past it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind him kicking a cooler or
Right.
something every once in a while,
All
like
quarter-
a little emotion.
I don't know. There was a couple times I looked at his face, and you could tell it was really bothering him.
did you meet him on Friday? I know I saw Valdez.
Everybody went up and said
dapping him
hello
up.
to him. I just stared at him.
Yeah.
I
You
didn't,
didn't
I didn't
take
want,
a picture
What
with
was I
him?
going to do?
I didn't bother him.
What was I going to do? I
don't
had
know.
nothing to
Just
say.
say what's up.
He
I don't
didn't-
know.
He didn't look like he particularly wanted to say anything to anybody.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures, like Jeff Walker with Sam Howell. And
No, everybody did. Valdez got his video with him. I think Valdez just wanted to see who was bigger.
Valdez is bigger.
Well, he's definitely dwarfs him.
I think that Sam's a little inch taller.
Yeah, but not thicker. He's not
No, no,
thicker
no,
than
no,
Valdez.
No.
Well, Sam didn't listen to me when I told him don't hold on to the ball so
No.
much.
Yeah.
Good line.
All right, let's go to the phones. 800-636-1067. They said this was a measuring stick game. Well, 37-3. Or do you just toss it out and say, it's a loss. We expected to lose. No big deal.
No, you can't do that. You got to learn from it for sure. Let's go to Rob in D.C. Rob, what's up?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How y'all doing,
What's up,
man?
Rob?
Terrible game. It's just a learning curve. To me, the offensive line is just horrible. I think the draft was terrible as far as, knowing what you need. You need offensive line. As for some reason, they just don't focus in on what they need as far as the offensive line. I can't put my finger on it because, you go on the draft and take 2 secondary guys when really your offensive line is your weakest.
Well, you got to
position
remember,
on the team.
you bring up good points, Rob, but we got to remember, put yourself just in their shoes. So they thought they addressed it by bringing in 2 veterans. Rookies are going to struggle. And even if they wanted to draft a tackle, let's say in the first round, there was a run on tackles, if you remember. And I
Yeah,
think they
I
had to
remember that.
pivot, to be honest with you. I think they had to pivot a little bit the way the draft played out. And they thought, we can afford this because we're bringing in 2 veterans. Now, you can argue
You
say
could
the
have got one in
veterans
the
aren't any
second
good.
round,
That's
though.
that
You
would
could have
be my
done one in the
argument.
second round. I agree, because they're
Let
not
me-
even
let me
getting a
ask
lot
you
from
something
Quan
real
Martin.
Quan Martin is not playing like a
doing
second-round pick.
No,
I mean-
no. Let me ask you something real quick about last week's game. I might have missed something, but in the Hail Murray play, you got Amani Rogers 6'8", and you got Cole Turner 6'6". Were they back there on that Hail Murray?
I don't
think
know.
so.
That's a great question. We
I
should
mean,
look that up.
that to me, see, that kind of coaching detail is what I'm looking for, and I just don't see enough of that too when it comes to detail situations. Thank you,
Hey,
guys.
send your resume into Coach Ron.
Thank you,
Maybe
buddy.
he'll give
Well,
it a look.
Isn't Rodgers out? Rodgers
Yeah, I
is
don't-
out. Remember
yeah.
that? He's out.
I don't know
good
how
for
many.
Cole Turner.
I don't know how many defensive coordinators do that on Hail Marys.
Right.
I don't-
Sometimes they do.
Sometimes you might put it in a tall wide receiver, but I don't know if you're going to throw Cole Turner back there.
Again, we did mention this in the first segment. Certainly, Sam Howell is probably the most culpable in the game with the 4 interceptions, and the offensive line was bad. But Bieniemy could have put him in better spots, and he's
Agreed.
coming out so pass happy. It's almost 5-1.
Yeah, but
That
I don't
can't
mind the
help your
passes, but
quarterback.
why not shorter passes, or why not move the pocket more? Why not more sprint rollouts?
Yeah, he did one.
I don't understand.
He had one nice rollout, and he threw to Terry McLaurin for like an 8 or 9 yard game. But that was the only one that I can recall.
Why only
There's a lot
one?
of deep dropbacks for him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you might want to scrap those. You might want to alter the
I
game
don't
plan a little
understand.
bit.
And I'll be honest with you, I was watching an afternoon game yesterday before I went out to dinner, and I can't even remember who it was, but it was like a mediocre quarterback. So it wasn't like, oh, it's Pat Mahomes, like you make it a comparison to Kansas City. But they did that Kansas City play where they fake a handoff and then they flip it to the tight end coming around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a little pitch.
Sure, like
And
shovel
I'm like,
pass. Yeah.
why aren't we seeing any of that creative stuff? Like, I don't know, man. I don't. It's not as creative as I was hoping that we would get. Now, last week I was very, I was very complimentary. This week, not as much.
I think they had one screen. Like the screens just weren't hitting
didn't work.
today.
The screens didn't
Yeah,
work
the
this
one
week.
screen, I think
Nothing
they got
like
a-
last week.
I think they got a penalty on one.
I mean, maybe he saw something in the Denver personnel where he's
Well,
like,
I'm-
the screen game's going to work here. It doesn't work so
Well,
well
I'm sure they
against
also
Buffalo.
prepared against the screen.
Yeah, right.
Right. You know what I mean? So I'm sure they
Also,
probably practiced
Denver's-
all week against that.
Denver's also terrible,
Yes.
which was put in the spotlight yesterday. They're
70
they're all of a
points.
sudden, I didn't even realize this, they're all of a sudden in the race for the #1 pick.
Well, I
from
think
the
there's a
looks of it.
combo there because I
100%.
think
I mean, they
Miami's
are
really
terrible.
good. I think Miami's really
Well,
good.
it's
They're
a
not a
combination.
70 spot good.
It's a combination
But
of
if
the
you
two.
notice, Miami and Tua, there's a reason why Tua is like the MVP candidate right now. They're putting up big points every week.
Well, yeah, I said it before the season that when Tua was on the field last year, they had the #1 highest scoring offense in the league. They also have, this has been the formula since Sean McVay joined the Rams. Most of the teams in the league, unlike the Commanders, when they've had to fill the head coaching job, a lot of them have gone from the Shanahan tree, but they've gone young offensive minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they've got the young offensive mind, and when Tua's healthy, obviously they are super explosive. They added Jalen Waddle to Tyreek Hill.
Well, they did that yesterday without Waddle.
I know.
Waddle was
Waddle
in a
wasn't even-
t-shirt.
But they're going to have a measuring stick game. I told Jason
They
next
play at
Sunday.
Buffalo.
All right, you're going to be focusing on the Commanders game, and you should at 1:00. But at the same time, the Dolphins go to Buffalo.
I don't care
That is
how
a measuring stick game.
I don't care how good a team is offensively. No one should score 70 points against you.
Agreed
That
with
was
that.
jarring.
And no one should rush for 350 yards. I'm
Right.
sorry. These are NFL players. These are NFL coaches. You could say all you want how good Tua is. He is. But no one should score 70 points in the NFL.
Well,
Sean
Raheem
Payton,
Mostert
It
had
shouldn't happen.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he's okay. At times he's been good in the league, but he's Raheem Mostert.
well, he's the top running back in the league right now.
But also,
today.
let me say this
Right.
also, because I'm a little defensive, because I don't think my team is as bad as they played yesterday. I think the win over Arizona is a little bit better today than you thought with their win over Dallas. Now, I think it was a fluke, but I do think that Arizona, I said at the time, they play hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought there was a 0% chance they'd beat Dallas, but I'm not surprised that they were competitive with them. In stealing the dub, I mean, don't steal it. They were ahead the whole game. I think that looks a little better for us.
You know,
they're not as bad as everyone said.
It's the NFL, man. The NFL is so
Parity.
unpredictable.
Exactly.
It
That's
really
why
is.
you don't know what's going to happen next week.
No, you have
Philly
no idea.
should be favored. I don't even know what the early line.
I
Let
think
me
it's
guess.
7
Early-
or 7.5.
I was going to say 8.
I think it's going to go up.
Yeah, I think.
as
Let's
the
see
week
what
goes
happens
on.
But let's see
tonight.
what happens. I will be shocked if we lay another egg, if we don't adjust and make it, because I do think we're better than this. It was just a game where Buffalo's great. They're a better team, but we're better than what we showed yesterday.
Hey, short week for the Eagles.
I actually wouldn't be shocked if it was something similar to what we saw yesterday.
Back-to-back blowouts.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not a 34-point
They're
loss. But
professionals.
I don't think it'll be
They're
9
professionals.
sacks.
I could see
but
it being a 21 or a 24-point loss.
Well, it's
I
going to
mean,
be tough.
I think we're going to compete.
It's going to be tough for the offense. Here's who they have on defense. Depth chart. Starting defensive line. Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, with Jalen Carter and Derek Barnett behind him.
No, they're going to give the
They
offensive
have
line
to be
fits.
more
studs.
competitive. We have to be more. We have to figure something out.
Yeah, they got to do better up front. That's where it starts.
I think you got to try and run the football a little bit more. We're going to talk to Chris Russell at 8:20. He's a big proponent of the running game. I am not to Chris Russell's, to the extreme of Chris Russell, where you got to be balanced 1-to-1. But when you're going 4-to-1, 5-to-1 pass with essentially a rookie quarterback and a bad offensive line, it's a deadly
But when
combination.
everyone in the stadium knows you're going to run on first down,
Yeah.
and you're just
You don't have to run on first down.
well, that's the kind of the way you get balance.
Why? You can throw a 5-yard, hitch pass and then run on second down.
Well, that's the way it should be done. And yesterday, I thought we had a lot of first down runs, which were kind of annoying. They ended up with 8 yards of carry.
If I'm Ron, I want this game against the Eagles this upcoming weekend to look like the Bill Callahan era when he was just running the ball relentlessly, just shorten the game as much as you can. If you can do that. Like, I don't think that's
want
really
just 3 and
possible.
outs. I don't want just 3 and outs.
No, I mean, like, try to convert some of them, but you need to shorten that game. You need to keep that Philly offense off the field as much
or
as you can.
use their aggressiveness against them and figure out what went wrong in your screen game.
Yeah.
Why was the screen game so bad? Why aren't they rolling? And also, why on the mesh plays, why does Hal never take the ball himself? Like, he's a good runner.
Oh, he
I know
is a
we
good
don't want
runner.
him to take hits, but why is he always, it seems like he has a choice on a lot of these handoffs, and he always hands it off. He never takes it.
I don't know. They're barely handing the ball off. They're barely handing the
but
ball
still,
off.
if you watch it, every time he's got his hand in there till the last second, and he always lets it.
It's probably something he's seeing, or maybe he's told to get rid of it.
Maybe he is.
Maybe they just don't want him to get hit.
Let's go to Marvin, Landover. Marvin, what's up?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Good morning.
What's up?
Not that good of a morning, but that's okay. There's two things I want to get to. First of all, I hate these games because everybody is basically saying they're this for the rest of the year. You get blown out sometimes, and Cake's automatically got them losing by 24 next week. Jesus. I mean, come on. It's the NFL.
They're professional. They're going to play better.
Okay, but you wouldn't be
I'm just
surprised.
saying
I mean, come on.
it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a lock,
I mean,
but
there's a
I wouldn't be
possibility
shocked.
they win then. I mean, it's a possibility. What I'm saying is, in the NFL, you specifically, there's bad games, and then the other team, the next week, that team will play a zillion times better because they have that professional, what's it called again? Like,
You never know what you're going to
Let
get week to
me
week.
get to my point. That's not what I wanted to talk about. First of all, I wanted to get to Howie Val because I'm not going to be on here at 6:45.
Go quick.
Hey,
Go
he
quick.
got a D. He got a D. I'm not going to give him an F because I really believe that some
I
of
don't know
those
what it
sacks.
takes to be an F for a quarterback
Well,
if you only give them a D.
Okay, and I'm going to explain why. It's really just this simple. I thought that 2 of the interceptions were straight pressure. Okay, the other 2 were on him. All right, and then I believe that he didn't make a bad decision where the ball was supposed to go. He just didn't make good throws. So there's like my reason why.
All right, Marvin, we
The
got to
next
run
thing
because
is-
we're up against the break. I'm sorry, buddy. I shouldn't have gone to you. I didn't see the clock.
All right, we will come back with our Hal Eval. We do it every Monday at 6:45, judging the Commanders' quarterback. We'll probably sing in unison in the next segment, but it's our Hal Eval next here on the Junkies.